Hi Year 5, welcome to your penultimate maths lesson of the week. Today we are going to continue our work looking at decimals. Before we get into that, we are going to start, as we always do, with our mental maths questions. Your four for this morning are on the screen now, not forgetting the shape in the right hand corner of the screen. Pause the video and give yourself 30 seconds now. Question 1, work out 3.16. Add 2.52. The answer to those two added together is 5.68. No exchanging going on, so a number of you will have got the answer by just looking at the calculation and working it out in your head. Well done if you got the answer. Question 2, complete the calculation. Something add 0.28 equals 1 whole. What do I add to 28 hundredths, which is what this decimal is written as a fraction, to get me to 1 whole, or 100 hundredths? I add 72 hundredths to get there, or as a decimal, should I say, 0.72. Question 3, which is greater, 37 thousandths or 3 hundredths? 37 thousandths is greater because if I was to write an equivalent fraction for 3 hundredths using 1,000 as my denominator, what have I done to get from here to here? I've times it by 10. What do I do to get from here to here? Then I times that by 10. As you can clearly see, using my understanding of equivalent fractions, that this first fraction is greater than the second fraction. So this is the one I was looking for you to circle. Question 4, how many hours are there in 3 days? Well, 24 in 1, 48 in 2, and 72 in 3. 72 is the final answer. The shape there, of course, is a circle. Our walk today then, it says we are learning to subtract decimals with a different number of decimal places. Let's have a look at an example to illustrate our point. 6.73, which, as we hopefully are all aware now, has 6 ones, 7 tenths, 3 hundredths, because we know that from our work with our place value lessons. And from that, I'm going to subtract 1.3. So put my decimal point in, write my number around it. The same principle from yesterday applies here again. Just a note as a point, make sure we're subtracting today, no one adding decimals. We don't want anyone throwing away any silly marks, so make sure you're concentrating and knowing that it's subtraction. Second number obviously only has ones and tenths. It doesn't have a value in the hundredths column as represented here. We can put the 0 in if we wanted to. It doesn't really make a difference, to be honest. In this calculation, we don't really need the place value grid to help us understand it because there's no exchanging. So it can be a question that we can do mentally. 3 hundredths take away 0 hundredths gives us 3 hundredths. Tenths, 7 tenths take away 3 tenths. Let's cross out 3 real quick. 1, 2, 3 leaves us with 4 tenths. And 6 ones subtract 1 1 leaves us with 5 ones. 5.43. Oh, should have a decimal point now, shouldn't I? I apologise. Is the answer to that question. That will help you today with question number 1 on your worksheet. I'm just going to do a second example actually, just to illustrate the points, just so we're confident with that. And get that out of the way. Okay, question 2, we're going to have a look this time at 3.18. Again, these numbers are written to different number of decimal places. This one's got 2 numbers after decimal place. My second number, 1.6, it's only got one number currently after decimal point. Of course, I can put my 0 in, like so. First thing, represent 3.18 in my place value grid. You might have spotted already what the difference is First calculation, straightforward, no exchanging, nothing too tricky, quite not easy, nothing's ever easy, but quite straightforward, hopefully. Not too much hard thinking going on. This time, slightly trickier in that we've got a bit more work to do. Looking at the first column, however, there isn't any work to do here. 8 hundredths represented here and here. Subtract 0 hundredths will leave me with 8 hundredths. Second part of the calculation, looking at the tenths column. It's asking me to do 1/10 subtract 6/10. I can't do that very easily, so I need to perform an exchange. So I need to exchange one of these ones here, and in exchange for that one, I'm going to replace it with 10 tenths. 1 whole, go back to that 100 square, 1 whole is the same as 10 complete or rows or columns. To represent that in my column method, I now only have 2 ones because I've exchanged one of them, and I now have 11 tenths because I had one already, now exchanged and got a further 10. So in total, I have 11. 11 tenths, take away 6 tenths. Can I do that easily? Well, I can now because I've got more counters to play with. Cross out 6, leaves me with 5 tenths. 2 ones, take away 1, 1, leaves me with 1, 1.58. So those 2 examples, one without an exchange, one with an exchange, will help you with question 1 today on the worksheet. I know a number of you are now starting to pause the videos to try and break the worksheets down a little bit. So if that is your plan for the day, now would be a good time to have a go, as I say, at question number 1. If you want to keep playing the video, I'll explain how to answer the following questions on the worksheet. So, firstly, let's get rid of these. Get all them out of the way too. And oh my goodness. We are going to have a look at the example 7.2. From that, we are going to subtract 2.27. Oh, I really actually should write that underneath it in a column method. What did I say, 2.27? Put my decimal point in and write my 2.27 around it, because the decimal point never moves. If you remember what I said yesterday about 300 times. Represent 7.2 on the place value grid. Let's bring it in. This time it is, as well always really, start with my lowest value column, which is the hundredths column. And it's asking me to do, technically it's a gap, but technically that gap is representing the number 0, the digit 0. It's asking me to do 0 hundredths subtract 7 hundredths. Can't do that because I haven't got any hundredths to play with. So I need to, again, perform an exchange. I need to exchange one of these tenths for 10 hundredths, because 1/10 is equivalent to 10 hundredths. So I put my hundredths in here, get rid of that, show it on my place value grid. The 2 tenths become 1/10, because I now have 1/10 here representing my place value grid. And I now have 10 hundredths because of my exchange. 10 hundredths subtract 7. Can I do it now? You better believe I can. Cross out 2, cross out 4, cross out 6, cross out 1 final 1, will leave me with 3 hundredths remaining. Put it in like so. Question, oh, I said question again. I meant the second part of the calculation. 1/10 subtract 2 tenths. I've got 1/10 here. Can I represent that? Can I do that easily? No, I can't, because I can't take 2 away from 1 easily. So I've got to, again, perform a second exchange. So this time I'm going to exchange 1, 1, which I've pulled up, and I'm going to exchange 1, 1 for 10 tenths, like so. Pull that out of the way, show it on my place value grid. I now no longer have 7, as we can clearly see here. I only have 6 remaining, so I can cross that out and place it with 6. And I had 1/10 a minute ago. I've just exchanged 1 for 10/10. So in total, I now have 11/10 as represented here and here. Now, can I do 11/10 subtract 2/10? Yes, I can. I have 9/10 remaining. Oh, I should really have been writing these in down here. I do apologise. And finally, 6 ones subtract 2 ones will leave me with 4 ones. 4.93 is my answer. That one, with the exchanging particularly, will help you with questions 2 to 6 on the worksheet. So again, if you're wanting to pause the video to have a go at the questions that those examples directly link to, now would be a good time to pause it. If you're sticking with it and you're watching it all the way through, I have got one final example I would like to show you. Once I've got rid of all of this, of course. Now, yesterday we had a look at missing digit calculations. If you remember, I gave you parts of a calculation, but it had missing digits in it. Some of them were quite straightforward, others slightly more difficult. Today, I'm going to start with a difficult one. Why not? The sooner I get through it, the sooner you can get into practicing it yourself. So, let's write the calculation out. So the numbers I'm going to subtract are 13.9 something. And from that, I am going to subtract something 0.86. Put my decimal point in, my 6 in, something 0.86. So my missing digit will go in there once I have worked it out. My answer, my decimal point in, is going to be 9.08. I'm going to represent 13.9 something in a place value grid. Let me pull my place value grid up from here. Let's ungroup it. There we are. As you can see, I've got 1/10 represented. I've got 3 ones represented. I have 9/10 represented. First thing then I need to have a look at is the lowest value column, the hundredths column. As you can see, the calculation is asking something hundredths subtract 6 hundredths gives us 8 hundredths. Think about that in your head. Something hundredths subtract 6 hundredths gives me 8 hundredths. You've got to use the inverse there to help you. So rather than guessing, you're thinking, actually, take away 6 hundredths gives me 8 hundredths. So what did I start with? I've got to do the inverse. I've got to do 6 add 8, which would give me 14. So 14 hundredths helps me start the calculation, doesn't help me with it just yet. So bear with it. I'm going to put 14 hundredths in there like so. Now, if you are saying, Mr. Mills, hang on a minute, you can't possibly have more than 9 in there because we don't have any columns that have a greater value than 9 in it. It's impossible, you can't do it. And you'd be spot on to think that. So because of this, you know that there must have been something else going on. There must have been another exchange. We've talked about exchanges already today. There must have been another exchange that's occurred here. So one of these tenths has been exchanged for 10 hundredths. Let me just show that on here. So this one here has been exchanged for 10 hundredths here, because 1/10 is equivalent to 10 hundredths. So what digit do I have here missing in my calculation? Well, 4 hundredths are there, so 4 hundredths must be my missing digit here. Okay, why does that work? Well, because I've exchanged 1/10 for 10 hundredths, which I have represented like so here. My second column, my 10th column, 8/10 subtract 8/10. 2, 4, 6, 8. Leaves me with 0/10. I should have put my 4 in here. Sorry about that. Oh, sorry. I mean, I actually should have put an 8 in there. This is representing our final answer, isn't it? Then looking at the ones column, it's asking me, saying 3 ones take away something gives us 9 ones. So once again, I know that an exchange here has taken place. For the exchange, 1/10 for 10 ones means that I end up with 13 ones here, which I can write in here like so. 13 ones subtract something ones give us 9 ones. So our final missing digit is 4. 13.84 subtract 4.86 gives us 9.08. As I say, that example will help you with the final missing digit calculation on your worksheet today. As always, good luck and let us know how you get on.